Welcome to the Out of Pocket Podcast with Elliot
and Riley.
Bet you didn't see that coming. All right, guys. So we thought we'd kick off our podcast with an episode about something pretty bad. School horror stories.
We got a lot of them, and I sure hope to not relive any of them.
Let's just say they're bad. Why don't we start off with someone's about teachers?
I know you have one, Elliot.
Yeah, I do. We're not going to name names, though, because we got to stay respectful. But the first one is about a teacher that I have. Riley doesn't have her, but she knows the stories.
Yeah, I've dealt with them before, so
let's just get going. So this teacher, insane, I'll say. Like, they are always just crashing out. I'll say that. Like, one time I heard that in one of their classes, they were walking around with a yardstick to hit the children. Really bad, right?
Yeah, they have walked into my class before, and yeah, they were crashing out.
They walked into her class after walking out of mine. That just proves to say that they're a little crazy up in the noggin.
Mm-hmm.
Next, I feel like we should talk about a teacher that we both have. And we've had them together for the past 2 years. And let's just say weird things happen with them.
Weird things.
They're winking at students. That's weird.
Dance moves are kind of scary.
Yeah, the dance moves, let's just say they're not appropriate.
We shall not show what they are, because they are that bad.
Yes, for the safety of both our listeners and obviously to stay respectful to our teachers.
Yeah, we have them every other day.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say those days we sometimes dread that period going into it.
Yeah, this teacher thinks they're like really funny and thinks that we like them. No, yes, we are this teacher's favorite.
They have made it pretty obvious.
We've been the favorite for the past 2 years. It is quite clear that we are the favorites. Moving on from our little teacher horror stories, why don't we talk about, yes, the kids.
Students.
The things that I see and hear in the hallway, not good.
This one kid today, I heard them in the hallway, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, I have so much homework." And I was like, "You're a 6th grader. Wait till 7th grade, hon."
These kids, I will say, I felt the same way in 6th grade, but 7th grade's another level.
Yeah. It's just so much work to do. It's not like it's even hard. It's just they give it to us at such fast times that they give us a day to do everything.
Exactly. I think the teachers need a little reality check.
I think they do too. What's one student? Like, not gonna name names to be respectable,
obviously.
But what's one student you got a good horror story from?
Oh, well, there's this one kid that is just, I'm not sure how to word it. They just press my buttons and get on my nerves. One horror story with them is I had been sick for the past 2 or 3 days, I believe, and I had returned back to the prison, and I was at my locker in the morning, putting my stuff away. They come up to me. "Yo, Elliot, you're so behind in science right now. You think I didn't notice? I've been dying in bed for the past 2 days. Of course I'm behind. What did you think? Like, leave me alone. Please and thank you." What about you, Riley? Do you have any good horror stories about students?
From the fact that I've been barked at and meowed at a couple, not a couple of times, a bunch of times, I think I've had a bunch of problems with certain students, and I don't know if I say it, it'll be very obvious who that person is.
As Olivia Rodrigo said, gosh, it's brutal out there.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Story?
Yeah. Before we move on to our next horror story, though, I thought I'd go back to our first teacher that we talked about this episode. This happened today. This proves just how often these stories occur. This morning, Yes, tantrums. Tantrums is a word that could be used. Yes. But this morning, this teacher growled at one of the students. That is so weird. I don't get it. But
Kind of scary whenever that teacher comes into my room because we're always like, do you need any like equipment, whatever you want to call it, like rulers and pencils, school supplies to like threaten your children? And she's like, I got my own, and it's scary. And then they walk out.
yeah, they haven't brought out those supplies yet, so we're safe for now. Why don't we move on to our next horror story? Riley, do you have any in mind?
The snake.
The snake.
It's cute though. I don't know what you have a problem with.
A little context. So, one of our very favorite teachers has a pet snake in their classroom. And let's just say I am terrified of snakes. I can't take it. And when this teacher brings out the snake, let's just say it's not pretty, man.
It's a pretty snake. It's cute. And it just slithers around the students' necks. And once it tried to go down one of the kids' shirts, but we don't want to talk.
That's a story for next time. But getting to the point with this snake, the snake pooped on a student one time. This was probably, I'd say last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
last year.
It was very weird. I felt very uncomfortable, let's say that. But this snake, I can't. I don't get why everyone likes it. It is gross and it slides around the tables like a little demon. I don't get it. And then it poofs on you and you continue to want to hold it in class. Just go do your math. Like, don't sit around with this snake.
The snake's name is Pablo. Who didn't want to hold a snake that's name is Pablo?
Its name's Pablo. Like, no joke, I never knew that.
Its name is Pablo.
Actually, I literally never knew that.
Found out like a couple days ago.
Oh my gosh. Our next horror story I wanted to mention was dances in football games.
Oh no, I've been to too many of those.
The drama is crazy. Obviously, we're not sharing any of the drama or dropping any names because that's disrespectful, but we can talk a little bit about these incidents.
We can also describe like how these go every single time because they're pretty much the exact same every single time.
Mm-hmm. One story from a football game. Yes, the ankle. So I'm gonna try and be quick and not give. Yes, that is what happened. There was this person who was running around on the hill by the football field, and they fell down the hill. And being the great person that I am, I went over to see if they needed any help. This person, they were crying and they were not in good shape. And they were doing all this while yelling, I broke my ankle, I broke it. So me and the people I was walking around with went to go check on them, and she was just sitting there, in pain. My ankle. And she continued to call 911.
Yeah, they were like, I can barely breathe. I'm having a heart attack.
And they were like, oh, I can't feel it. My foot. Oh my gosh, I'm calling 911.
And this one kid was just standing over them and was like, revive.
Yes. And the girl was also yelling, where's my boyfriend? I need my boyfriend. Where's my boyfriend?
Keep in mind, this was a 6th grader.
Yes, a 6th grader with a quote unquote broken foot yelling for their boyfriend.
Quote unquote.
Yes. So the paramedic people came to help her out. She had been holding her, I believe it was her right ankle, while we were helping her. And when the paramedics reached her, she told them that it was her left ankle that she had hurt. And she got taken away on the skater thing, and
they ended up only wrapping her left toes.
The wrong foot. It still cracks me up to this day. But that is just one of many, many football game horror stories. Do you have any football game horror stories in mind that you'd like to share?
There's probably so many I could think of, but one kid, I'm not gonna name names or gender, but they walked into the woods and created this entire scene because everyone was worried about them. And apparently he was like bloody when he came out, like quote unquote. And everyone was scared and they got the police involved. And this happened for like 3 football games in a row, and it was just to cause a scene the entire time. And do you have anything more about that?
Yes, very attention seeking. That is my number one pet peeve, attention seekers. I can't handle it. Another horror story from a football game was that there was this rumor going around that someone was in the field and they had a gun, right?
Yes, and
Yes.
my dad, keep in mind, my parents were like, are you hanging over in the like field area? Because I don't want you over there, and I wasn't allowed to go in that area the rest of the night.
Yeah, it was intense. I remember that I was sitting with friends at a bench, and Riley, I had no idea where she was. After hearing all this stuff about there being a gun, I was like, oh no. So I texted Riley, and I was like, Riley, where are you? Like, you need to come over here. Like, we think there's a gun in the field. It was pretty scary. I remember all the police were over there in the field, and I'm pretty sure there was a fight that happened too.
And I this is what I've heard for the backstory was these 2 kids got in a fight, and the dad came over with the gun, and then that was what quote unquote happened.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well. And before all the police were involved, I remember that all of the middle school kids were running over to the field in this huge like mob.
It was a huge hurt. I was
Yeah.
in that. I was in that mob, and
Me too.
it was bad.
Yeah, but I was like, oh, I should probably get myself out of this situation. So I went back over to buy the concessions, which is where I got to talking to Riley, telling her to get the heck out of there.
Yeah. I was just talking with one of my friends, casually walking, and then I get a bunch of notifications and like spam FaceTimes on Snapchat, and I was like, wait, what's going on? And then she FaceTimes me and she's like, Riley, get over here. There's apparently like a quote unquote gun over there. Like, get out of there. Come over to the concessions. And we were all freaking out, and I told my parents about it. My parents were like, I think it was just a rumor, but still don't know till this day.
Very intense. For our next horror story, why don't we talk a little bit about the school dances? Those are always so much unnecessary drama. It's never good. I feel like they're just a useless thing that we have.
We used the teachers, quote unquote, play good songs.
No. The music is kind of weird, but let me say, last time it was good. They played Not Like Us. It was fire.
They cut out like literally everything. It was bad.
Literally, like every other line was cut out, and it was just like mustard on the beat. They not like us. They not like us. Like they literally skipped majority of the song. I was like, the flip.
That I was freaking out. And they play Fiend every time ever since it's like been a huge thing. I think it's this year that they played it a lot.
Yeah.
But they only play like a minute of it, and then they're like, we're over with this.
Yeah, I'll say that I'm kind of over the whole Fiend thing. I feel like it really just ended months ago, and people are just trying to drag it out. Like, don't get me wrong, great hype song, but it's over. Like, let it go, people. Just move on to another song. There's so many good songs out there. Why did you choose this one and drag it on for like a year? I don't get it.
Yeah, there's also other things. What happened to, what one was it? Oh, looked in the mirror, sharp as a bullet. Like, what was wrong? Like, what happened? That was a huge thing, like, 2 weeks ago, and I haven't heard it since.
Yeah, me either. We were talking about this earlier in our math class, I believe, today, while we were working on our packet. And I haven't heard anyone say any of the look in the mirror sayings in probably a week or two. Like, I remember I personally said them like all the time. I was always like, look in the mirror, sharp as a pear. Gosh dang, I love my fluffy hair. I'd say it all the time, and now it just disappeared off the face of the earth.
We create them, like, look in the mirror, light as air, gosh dang, I love my straight hair. Like, we
Yeah,
literally
like
create
we
them.
came up with them all the time and it just stopped. It's so weird and I don't really get it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like what I felt like Sigma and Skibbity were a huge thing for like the first semester
Oh yeah.
time, but it's kind of died down, and I'm honestly kind of enjoying it.
Yeah. Taking that into another horror story, the brain rot in our school is insane. I hear it every single day, and it drives me up the wall. I literally, anywhere I go, I hear Sigma, Skibbity, Ohio, Rizzler. Like, are you 5? We are 13, 12 years old. Some of us will be 14 soon. Like, why are you using those words? Like, they're stupid. And I personally don't get it. There's this one kid in our grade that I talk to sometimes, and we are in a brain rot battle because they think I'm brain rot. Like, yes, I say brain rot words to be funny, but I'm not like legitimately brain rot like this person is. Like their favorite song is Meow 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 Meow.
No, we had Meow 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 was actually the saddest of times. I still send her reels about that. Like, I found this one page and I'm debating on following it just to get the daily Meow Meow Meow.
The AI cat videos, they are so sad. And that song too. Yes, it's kind of silly, but it makes me sad, especially when like there's like the father cat and then the mother cat and the mom leaves because the dad cat's too fat and the baby cat's like all alone and then the dad cat gets hit by a car or something and they're so sad.
I keep seeing this one it's a cows, yeah.
Cows.
It's like the meow meow meow, but it's like moo 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 moo.
Oh my gosh. And this brain rot stuff, this makes me think of something else. Amir. What happened to him? Where did he go?
He died. Remember the car?
Amir died.
Yeah, and then he keeps getting offered $2 dollar.
$2 dollar? I love Mir. It was so funny. They always made me laugh because it was always something different. But I haven't seen Mir in so long. Maybe it's because I don't watch Instagram Reels that much and I'm more of a TikTok person.
Yeah.
But like, I miss Mir. He was funny. Like, where did he go?
Yeah, that was a very sad death that happened. Also, Duolingo's death.
Duolingo. I feel like I was expecting to hear more about Duolingo at school, but I haven't heard anything.
I've heard like 3 or 4 things, and it's like, oh, did you know Duolingo died? And I'm like, yeah, by a Cybertruck. The robots are taking over the earth.
Okay, well, we should get into that in another episode, but today is school horror stories, so maybe next time.
Yeah, Duolingo is all over school though. I feel like I get like, oh, Duolingo that, Duolingo this. But what about the lock blast horror stories from school?
Oh my goodness. There are some kids I talk to at school who have insane block blast scores. Like,
300,000.
I think we're thinking of the same person, but 300,000 is insane. My Black Blast high score is about 63,000, I think. What's yours, Riley?
Mine's like 43,000. Keep in mind, mine like I got rid of it I like restarted my phone, I factory reset it. So when I like came back, I had to re-earn my Block Blast high score, which was very sad.
Yeah, I haven't been able to reach a very high score since I got my 63K, but I will say 300,000. That's insane. I have seen this person's phone. They showed me their phone. It says 300,000. Like that is wild to believe.
Yeah, it's very crazy. I've seen a couple 100,000s here and there, but I wonder how long they had to have been on Block Blast because it takes me maybe like 10 minutes to get 43,000.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll say block blast isn't as hard as people make it seem. You just have to be smart with it. Going back to how long it took this person to get 300,000, they actually told me. They didn't like give an exact time, but they said they just spread it out over days. And like they play 10, 30 minutes here and there, and they just got their score higher and higher every day and just didn't die. And that's how they got such a high score. But that's like pretty smart.
that it's very smart, but I don't think I'd have that consistency in me to just like, what if you had really good blocks this day and you left the app and then you come back and it's like terrible blocks? Like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, I haven't even played Block Blast in about a week or two, so
I was playing it on the car right here, so
yeah, it's been a hot minute. But we have one more horror story that we'd like to talk about. But this horror story, it goes in with our math class. And a little intro, our math class is insane. The things that happen in that class are pretty out of pocket. So it'd be perfect to share on this podcast. So we thought that every week we would dedicate a little section of our episode to our algebra class called Get Caught Up with Algebra. So this week has been pretty crazy in algebra, Riley.
very crazy. If you heard what I was talking about earlier, the quiz.
The quiz.
That is the new title. It will never leave that. It will that quiz is called the quiz.
Yes, currently we are doing quadratic functions, and I'll say they are very hard, and it is really confusing. And we had a quiz. We took it on, was it Monday? Monday. And there were 4 questions on this quiz. And they were all so difficult, 2 of which we weren't taught how to do. So, numbers 3 and 4, right? You skipped, which one? You skipped 2, right?
I skipped
Num- I-
4. I skipped 3 and 4, but I really tried 4 and I also kind of tried 3. I just
Yeah.
forgot x squared.
Yeah, 3, that's the only question I didn't get points taken off of, but my number 4, that one was really close. I only lost 1 point for not being specific enough with my answer, so that's not that bad, really. Do you wanna share what your quiz score was?
9, not the greatest, but it will sound pretty good compared to what other people got.
9 out of
18.
yeah, that just proves how difficult this quiz was. My score was 11 out of 18, so it sounds pretty bad. Like 9 and 18, they don't sound that good. But keep in mind, this quiz was hard. I thought I was going to get a 0 on this quiz. And as someone who does pretty well in algebra, I had an 100% leading up to this quiz. This was hard. And wait until you hear what some of the lowest scores in our class were. Riley, do you want to share?
The lowest score, and we can see this on our thing, like when we click on the grading, but the lowest score was 1.
1 out of 18. We're not going to name names on who got this score because I believe there were multiple people that I think there were 2 or 3 people that got this as a score, which is wild. But that just goes to prove how hard this quiz is. And, since we're sitting here talking about algebra, I thought we'd talk about some of the frightening things that have taken place in this class.
Yeah. Besides the snake that she is terrified of, it is very, very interesting.
Yes, one time a student in this class that I'd say me and Riley are friends with, like, we talked to them.
We talked to.
This person came up to me and told me that God doesn't love me. They told me this last year. That's a horror story in itself. That is not something you should say to a tiny little 12-year-old 6th grader. Like, that was weird.
I was 11 back then because she is always older than me.
She's a youngin', I'll say. And another horror story from algebra, same person. They're always threatening Riley. Threatening's a good word, right?
It's a little, like, not as harsh as what they talk about, but yeah, threatening.
Why don't you share?
They've told me multiple times I should kill myself. And anime powers.
Yes, so one time, this isn't from math, but this is from social studies. A lot of us in our math class have social studies together. And I sit by this person in social studies, and they told me that they were going to kill Riley with their anime powers. That is. I don't even know how to describe it. So odd and random. Yes, they did that, and they were like, I am going to kill Riley with my anime powers.
And that was not very long ago. It was maybe like a week, maybe.
Probably a week or two ago,
Yeah.
I'd say.
It wasn't that long ago, but more about social studies. It's not, I love the subject and I love the teacher and all, but there's kids in our class that I do not like.
Yeah, the behavior at our school is insane. That is such a horror story, and I feel so bad for our teachers, honestly. Like, obviously, there's teachers that I don't like, but
Dislike the slightest.
yeah, but they deserve way better than how the students treat them. Yeah, it just makes school so less enjoyable because school, like, it's not a fun place to be, but you can make it decent and not just like terrible in a day that you're just dreading. But the disrespect makes it 10 times worse because you just have to deal with teachers being rude to these kids, not necessarily rude, having to like snap at them, and it just makes it so much less enjoyable. So that's a horror story right there.
Yes, it is. The student, think about like normal like musicals, like school stuff, like high schools and stuff. It's like 10 times worse than that. Unless you're thinking about like Mean Girls, it's like maybe that. Like,
Yeah, we're not to
we're
the
not
Mean
too
Girls
bad,
level, but it's a scary place. And I think that brings our episode today to a conclusion. So we've got to go do our math homework. Tune in Friday for another episode.
That's it. Tune in Friday for another episode.
See you guys next time. Bye.